Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. Real Estate Coaching Radio is the nation's #1 daily radio show for realtors who demand authentic, real-time coaching. Get ready for fluff-free, unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what's truly working to get you into action, helping others, and making money now in today's real estate market. Now to our hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
3, 2, 1, and we are back. So Julie and I are going to be drilling down more on all the new programs and information about the programs that's coming out fast and furious. And we're also going to be telling you guys a little bit about what we're experiencing from the very front lines, dealing with so many brokers and agents across the country that are reeling from this, what will become a pandemic plague and quickly become an economic pandemic. So I think you guys need to be paying very, very close attention to all the information Julie and I have coming out. We have been burning the midnight oil almost every night, getting you guys the latest information that can possibly be out there, updating all of our content on our websites, and we are now, I think, working with hopefully what will be the final iteration of all of these, essentially what we're calling agent bailout programs. And the SBA program details came out yesterday. Julie and I went as far as basically calling up an SBA lender, interviewed them, got their internal documents, so we know exactly how that process works, not just from the overview from the press releases. So we have all that drilled down information waiting for you guys on the free coaching site. And remember, and I'm going to mention this probably every single podcast, is every single one of you need to absolutely get our 3-part guide. It's called Agent Complete Survival Guide, or what is it called? The Ultimate Agent Survival Guide. The Ultimate Agent Survival Guide, and it's free. And all you've got to do is text the word survival to 31996. Just text the word survival to 31996. And that guide is broken into 3 parts. The first part is called personal. The second part is called protect. And the third part is called profit. Where you're not going to be able to benefit from the third phase, which is the profit phase of this. And if you've not taken advantage and really focused on especially the first phase, which is the personal phase, and that's where we're telling you how to literally take advantage, fill out the form, so all of you guys can make it through financially what's going to be essentially an economic ice age for many of you. I know I'm using dramatic words, and I know it makes some of you uncomfortable, but honestly, I can't placate your insecurities. I need to be telling you the truth so you don't needlessly suffer, and neither does your family. So what matters the most now is every single opportunity for you to save money, you need to be taking advantage of it. And that's going to be mortgage forbearances. That's going to be the Paycheck Protection Program from the SBA. That's going to be, in some cases, unemployment. That's because unemployment is available now for self-employed people. And some of you are going to qualify for the cash payments that are supposed to be hitting in April, though those aren't going to be very much. It's more than nothing. So all of this stuff, all this information is available for you over on the site. We're updating the information with the state-by-state rules on how you can apply for unemployment. We're also updating state-by-state rules on evictions. A lot of you have rental properties, and guess what? Your tenants aren't paying rent. So all the information you need is available in one place, and it's easily accessible to you. Just text the word survival to 31996, and you then will be given an opportunity to join the new coaching program that's free. And when you do that, guys, again, the information is waiting for you. Now, Premier Coaching members, you know that this coaching program is not the same thing as Premier Coaching. So Premier Coaching members, we put this information on Premier Coaching usually a day in advance. It's always been there waiting for you. So make sure you're doing the same. It is absolutely critical, guys, that you protect yourselves. Put your own masks on first. Protect yourselves and your families. This crisis was not because of your miscalculations or overstepping or taking too much risk. You did nothing wrong. This was forced upon you. The government said you're shut down. That's it. You can't make money. And the economy is going to follow suit, and that's going to result in what I think is going to be the worst economic crash in the history of the United States, maybe in the history of the world. Dramatic, I know, and hopefully we're wrong. Trust me, I hope we are wrong. It's already kind of sort of, I'm not saying burning me out, but just stressing me out a little bit, knowing that so many of you aren't paying attention, taking the actions now. I'm not looking forward to the conversations with you guys 6 months or 12 months in the future if you have not taken the actions to protect yourself now. I am looking forward to the conversations in the future where so many of you are going to be so incredibly grateful for the fact that we asked you, coerced you, forced you, antagonized you.
Begged you to do it.
And begged you to do it And then you're going to be protected into the point where you can make it through to the profit phase, and you can actually, dare I say, profit as this economy starts to rebuild itself overall, not just in housing. So, Julie?
Yes. Let's see. What should we dive into first? I wanted to ask you, you just ended a great interview with Michelle McClintock. Did you want to share any thoughts about that, or should they just go and listen to it?
Well, I always have to remind myself that a lot of these guys don't know what a short sale is because they haven't been in real estate that long. And so, and that's kind of a funny thought, because when we first did our first short sale in 2007,
that was true too.
Right? They didn't know then either.
My.
We did
That's
it.
true.
Julie and I were the first company to introduce short sales to agents. When agents didn't know what it was, and we had, true story, we had this big short sale webinar going on. How many people were on it? 11 or 1,200? It was massive.
Crazy.
Yeah. And it was one of the first webinars we actually did. And we had 11 or 1,200 people on it. And I hadn't been looking at the questions that appeared on the screen. And Julie basically walked into my office and threw a pen at me and told me to read the questions. And the question that had appeared literally hundreds of times is, what's a short sale? I thought that was hilarious, that I didn't even think that agents wouldn't know. And I'm not going to make that same mistake twice, that it is funny. A short sale is where the bank allows the house to sell for less than's owed. So in other words, the bank agrees to take a loss on the house in order to get the house sold, because ultimately that will result in less of a loss to the bank versus a foreclosure. That's just the simplistic way of explaining it. And the reason you need to know this is because even though many of you are not experiencing this yet, it is absolutely inevitable when you have 20, 30, and maybe even, God forbid, 40% unemployment. No matter what interest rates are, no matter what kind of help the consumer programs are coming out, no matter what kind of unemployment, no matter what comes out, you're going to see a massive increase in people that need to sell their houses because they can't afford the payments. The new process for short sales, and Michelle and I talked about this on this interview, so make sure you guys go and listen to this, is that you can't just go as a consumer or an agent representing a consumer. You don't go right to short sale. The banks put you through what's called a waterfall process, where they make a decision which is the path that they want you to take, short sale being one of the options, a loan mod being an option, foreclosure being an option, forbearance being an option, those types of things. It's all done in loss mitigation. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take your clients there, and we're going to show you how to do it as part of our coaching program. And the bank is then going to say, okay, well, this person goes this route, this person goes that route. Having this information, knowing how to help your sellers in this market, gives you an unfair advantage, because other agents aren't going to know how to do this, especially agents that have only been in the business since really after the crash, because they didn't have to learn how to do short sales. If you've been in the business since only 2010, 2011, I'm speaking in hieroglyphs to you, and that is impossible, by the way, so it's kind of a bad joke. Because hieroglyphs are just symbols that, but anyway, I digress. So what's going to happen is that now, because the unemployment's going to be so high, even if a consumer wants to do a short sale, they won't be allowed to do a short sale, because one of the first rules of a short sale, they won't be allowed to do a loan mod, because one of the first rules of loan mods are, do you have a job? And unemployment checks are not going to count as a job. So when the bank looks at somebody and trying to decide which route they should go on their property because the seller can't afford it anymore, the bank's first line of defense, which is a loan mod, which would result in you not getting paid anything because it wouldn't result in a transaction, won't apply if they don't have a job, and then they push them directly to a short sale. And then you actually get a pre-approved short sale, which means the bank has agreed to do the short sale, and now all we're doing is waiting for an offer. We teach you how to do that as part of this coaching program. Premier Coaching has always had the accredited short sale designation as part of the product, and it's still there. And we're obviously updating the information as the rules change. As frankly, the Treasury Department, I think, for the most part, recasts all the rules with regards to foreclosures. That's all going to be taking place. You're going to need to know this information probably the next 90 to 120 days. As soon as unemployment starts to run out, as soon as people start to realize there is no V-shaped recovery, as people finally accept the fact they're going to be in a long-term recession, depression, whatever it is. Long-term could be, in your mind, 6 months, a year. It doesn't take long for many people to run out of money. Then you're going to realize how incredibly important it is that you have these skill sets that, frankly, Julie and I are the only coaching company that teaches you all of this. So seriously consider becoming part of our coaching program as a Premier Coaching member. But in the meanwhile, the way to get information about all the forbearance programs is text the word survival to 31996. If you want to learn more about the coaching program, here's all you have to do. Just text me directly at 512-758-0206 and just put the word coaching in the subject line. So, Julie, as far as what I learned from Michelle primarily, I have to say is that there's no doubt that the market for short sales this time is going to be massive, because before it was regionalized mostly, and because there's never been this in the history of the United States. There's never been this many people lose their jobs this fast. There's never been this lost GDP this fast. And on that interview I did with Michelle, which all of you guys should listen to, we talked about the markets that will be affected the quickest with regards to the downturn and the drop in prices. And there are the markets that are essentially further out from city centers. But listen to that interview. It's on timandjulieharris.com, Stitchers, and of course iTunes. Julie?
Yes. So to your point and Michelle's point about the impact of unemployment. So the highest week for claims prior to this was in 1982. Week for unemployment claims, that was 695,000. The highest weekly claim in the Great Recession was 665,000 in March of 2009. Guess what it was over the past 2 weeks now?
Well, actually, no, so I'm not going to guess. You can tell them.
6.6 million in the past week, and a total of 10 million due to coronavirus-induced economic shutdown. So that would be in the past 3 weeks or so.
Julie,
so clearly that's massive.
Julie, do you have anybody in your premier coaching that are disagreeing with you that there's not going to be a V-shaped recovery?
No.
I think people get it. Okay.
I think the question is how long and how pronounced it will take to get out of it.
Do you have
V-shaped, yes, but when will the V start to take off?
There's no V, it's a U. Do you have anybody that's arguing with you that there's going to be a housing crash, or anybody that's in your house?
Yeah, I think there are people that their argument is, well, when there's more inventory, it'll just get gobbled up by the buyers who haven't been able to buy. My counter argument to that would be many of those buyers who wanted to buy are no longer gainfully employed. So, it doesn't really matter if interest rates are low if you can't qualify.
That's right. Or they're not confident. They might have their jobs, but they're worried about having their ability to have their jobs.
And I'm seeing a lot of that right now, especially in people related to hospitality, restaurants.
Yep.
And really, that's how it started, but it's become virtually everything. I mean, look at the unemployment numbers. Everybody's affected somehow.
It's basically what happens is even if you don't lose your job in many companies, people are going to be nervous about, am I getting am I going to get a raise? Is the boss going to ask me to take a pay cut? In even the real estate industry, you're seeing these brokerages. Some of them are not publicly announcing it, but because Julie and I work with a lot of brokerages across the country, and we know they're doing it. When a brokerage calls Julie and I and they ask us what they should be doing, and most of them are in panic mode. Who could have ever predicted a black swan event like a global pandemic plague, basically, never happened before.
Not predictable.
It hasn't happened since the Dark Ages, which, by the way, Julie, I started to work on something.
Right.
The past big plagues have always resulted in incredible booms, right? That's the profit phase that we're going to be talking more about.
Well, think about the crash in the 20s and the roaring 20s, and I'm following you on that.
But so many brokers who are contacting Julie and I right now are contacting us, asking us what they should do. And then the first question I ask is, what's their financial reserves? And here's what I'm finding continuously. And I've been talking to a lot of brokerages with 30 people, 100 people. I had one the other day. It was almost 1,000 agents. And the answer was almost always less than 2 months. And I ask, well, what form are the financial reserves in? And it's almost always in credit lines. So in other words, these brokerages have no money saved. These brokerages are going to be devastated. These programs that are coming out, look, it's a lifeline, guys. That's all it really is. All these programs are just a lifeline. But you need to be telling all this. So this is what I tell them. I said, tell all your agents about the programs. Just tell your agents to text the word survival to 31996 and let us do our thing. But then I say, after that, with their permission, I just had this call probably this morning around 9 with a big broker. I said, with your permission, can I be super direct with you? And they said yes. And I said, well, you need to figure out how, and I can help you do it, how we can basically scuttle your brokerage as fast as possible and move you and all of your agents over to EXP and provide a graceful exit for you to move over to EXP, maintaining your brokerage, maintaining your brand, but now it's brokered by EXP, so we can offshore all your hard expenses. And it's graceful exit. That's the term. That's what I'm calling it, because this gives a lot of agents, a lot of brokers, a lot of teams that were marginally profitable before a graceful exit from their bad business model. The whole big brokerage team business model has always been a bad business model, but now during this crisis, it's even worse. And then what I do, the third thing I'm telling everybody, because I've been doing this so often, I've got it down to a process, is I do everything I can to get them to not wait. The same thing Julie and I have been doing on the podcast. Because the programs, for example, that we tell you about on this, when you text survival to 31996, for example, the SBA program, which I think Julie's got some more information on, that program is only for, and this is an obscene amount of money, it just is, $350 billion. But what's going to happen is the money, essentially the applications are going to start going in tomorrow on the 3rd of April. And then self-employed people, 1099 people, gig workers, whatever you want to call them, they're going to then be able to file for unemployment starting on the 10th. So that $350 billion, you guys watch. Mark my words, it's going to be gone probably within the first 30 days or less, because people are going to rush to it. Now, with that said, it's not being reported widely on the news. And Julie and I are disheartened by that, frankly, because the news would rather talk about body bags than it would talk about how to actually help people. But you have to do it, Mr. Broker, Mr. Agent. You have to be the one that's telling everyone about these programs. And again, they're lifelines. They're real lifelines. This could be the difference between people making it through the real bad part of this, which is going to be the next 90 to 120 days, or not financially. There are going to be millions of people, millions of agents, well, hundreds of thousands of agents who should have taken advantage of these programs, but nobody told them about them. And that's the reason that Julie and I are working on, we're working overtime, to say the least, and absolutely begging everyone that will listen to share the information that we've gathered, so everyone then can essentially make it through the worst part of this apocalypse, right? That's what we're suggesting that everyone does. So Julie, let's talk a little bit about what you have next in your notes.
Okay, yes, this is just a quick little side point. New York agents have been really frustrated at their label as non-essential. That changed last night. That designation has been lifted, so you guys are able to do more business. Same with appraisers and home inspectors. So that's good news for New York. Next is the coaches we're talking about. We have a coaches call every week. The foreclosure.com is a good resource because, you were talking about short sales and the upcoming inevitable wave. Remember that we just came from a more than decade-long run-up of prices. Now, of course, there's going to be people that refinance their equity out of their house and are ready to do a short sale now. But there are vastly more people who still have equity, but are either missing payments for the first time already due to their unemployment. Maybe they didn't take advantage of the forbearance, okay? Or they're already behind. They were behind before the whole virus pandemic happened. So these are people who absolutely need your help right now. You can list and sell before they actually become a short sale. But the clock will be ticking on that as they continue to be unemployed or underemployed. So be aware. And Tim, you were talking about how many agents now, because there's a whole generation of agents who never had to do a short sale or have never even heard of it possibly. Remember that just because it's selling for less than they paid or just because they're not getting their down payment back does not equal a short sale. It has to actually be shorting the amount owed to the bank. So you'll have some sellers that say, well, I can't even get my down payment back. And certain agents think that's a short sale. It's not until you actually are shorting the bank. So take advantage of the fact that there's still equity out there. Those people need your help. Then we have the thought of your day-to-day life. You have 3 R's. This is something that one of our coaches was talking about. She said, repurpose, retool, and redeploy. Repurpose. You've got to modify your spokes to meet the market. Maybe you've never done BPOs before. Well, that's repurposing your skills and repurposing your time. Take what the market is willing to give you. So repurpose, then retool, upgrade your skills as needed. That's why the coaching gods created coaching. Okay, upgrade your skills. Dust off your short sale skills. Maybe you don't have any short sale skills. So retool has to do with education, and you can text survival to 31996 so that we can help you with that. And then redeploy. You must take action. Get to work. Don't wait. Don't get into analysis paralysis or being glued to the news. That's not going to help you. Then number 5 in my notes was don't assume everyone's taking advantage of forbearance, SBA unemployment programs. Many don't know or aren't taking action. To Tim's point, The news isn't really reporting on all of that. The unemployment will drive the market soon, even with the existence of these special programs, bailouts, and assistance. It's great that everybody's going to get a check, but how far is that really going to go? That's not going to solve unemployment. It's not going to solve the uncertainty. And then my last point from the coaches call was watch your hot sheets to encourage yourselves that homes are being listed now. You've got to know what's hot and what's not. Most of us are reporting, either from coaching calls, my premier coaching call, et cetera, that the meat and potato houses, the middle of the market is still moving. Price reductions are appearing in the upper end and in the luxury and the condo markets. Builders are starting to list their spec homes. These are contracts that people have backed out on for various reasons. So I'm kind of doing a little bridge here, Tim, so we can get into the profit section coming up. I'm just kind of easing them into it.
Don't you feel like it's a little early, though, if we start talking about the
I've got to get to premiere, though.
Yeah, you got to get to premiere. So listen, guys, we are going to continue to do 2 and 3 podcasts a day. We're going to do everything in our power to get as much information to you as fast as possible. The easiest way for you guys to know whatever's going on with all these new programs, which again, time is absolutely of the essence, because when the money is gone out of those programs, there is no guarantee there's going to be more money being thrown at those causes. And what we think is going to happen is what happened back in 2008 is as the Fed and the Congress and the Senate and all the political this and the other things, what happens is the emphasis gets moved from, the ball gets moved. So right now they're focusing on bailing out small businesses and all that. Well, 90 days from now, there's going to be other bailouts. There's going to be all kinds of things they're going to ask for bailouts, and it never ends. And the SBA programs, for example, which are literally limited in scope, first come, first serve. If you didn't take advantage of that, if you don't have your application in probably this week, you're not going to get any advantage of that. And guys, I don't think, Julie didn't say this, but again, we were studying and talking about this morning when literally we woke up and having our coffee. The definition of really how much money they're going to give you is the equivalent, I think Julie told me, of what amounts to 3 paychecks plus some hard costs like covering mortgage payments and whatever, and hard costs of your business. And so if you're a sole proprietor working for your incorporated real estate practice and you paid yourself last year an equivalent of $10,000 a month, then you are probably going to be eligible to get a forgivable SBA loan, which amounts to a grant for approximately $30,000, if not more. And if you have employees, 1099 employees, it works the same way. I'm sorry, W-2 employees, it works the same way. Their payroll will be added to your payroll, and they do some arithmetic. Yesterday, we learned that you do have to go through an SBA lender, and the SBA lender list we actually put on the website, so it's sitting there waiting for you. You can't just go to the SBA direct. There is absolutely minimum underwriting. We understand they do ask for a tax return. And one other thing, I forget what it is, but that's it. These paycheck loans basically are designed to be expedited immediately. As a matter of fact, there's a chart that we got of all the different kinds of SBA loans. And this SBA loan basically said the least amount of underwriting, the no fees, nothing up front, so it doesn't cost you anything. The government's paying the banks to underwrite these, and the money is designed to basically be put in your accounts as fast as possible. So keep all of this in mind, guys. Time is absolutely of the essence, and time is also absolutely of the essence for you to learn what this new market is going to require. Michelle and I talked about this a lot on that podcast, the interview I did this morning, and what you're going to discover is that a lot of agents are going to basically try to hold on to the past and hoping that the past returns. It never does. We are into a totally different economy, not just economy, everything around our lives is going to change. The way people interact. I mean, we can talk and we can sort of guess about all the little nuance changes that will happen in society, but here's what we must accept. This is going to be an economic collapse that's going to affect all of us in differing levels. The move for you is to be way ahead of the curve, just accepting the fact that things are going to get way worse before they get better. That is a much better way to approach life in general right now than it is for you to basically hope and pray that things get better. And don't think this is an optimist versus a pessimist type conversation. It really isn't. This is just about being smart and protecting yourself, protecting your family. And then obviously with this information, then you can go and share that with everyone you know and help them protect their families as well. At the end of the day, these little lifelines are going to run out. They're not going to be forever. This is not going to be a new lifestyle for you to live on unemployment. It won't work that way. So you're going to have to learn what this new market is going to demand. or you aren't going to have a job. And people are saying, well, tons of agents are going to get out of the industry. I don't think so. I really don't. Where are they going to go? They're not going to be able to get jobs. No, they're all going to be, working in Amazon or something, right? I mean, they're not going to get jobs, so they're not going to leave real estate. And brokers who are saying that, and market prognosticators that are saying that, then maybe you should stop writing these gloomy predictions about the downfall of the agent count and start focusing on helping the agents that are actually in the industry survive, doing what Julie and I are doing. That's where leaders should be having their focus, not just essentially making predictions about a gloomy dystopic future. Maybe the future, it can be amazing if we all get through it together. And that's what we're trying to do at our coaching company. If there's anything you need me for, if you want Julie and I to speak to your groups, I think we've got 6 or 8 events scheduled for next week. We will do whatever it takes to help you guys. You want to do podcasts, you want to do Zoom meetings. Let us do the heavy lifting for you. Don't try to know what we know. You got your plate full with your own stuff. Put us to work. Let us tell your group about what they need to be doing now. Let us tell them about the 3-part Ultimate Agent Survival Guide, and we'll be more than happy to do it. If you want us to do that, just text me directly, 512-758-0206. We're probably going to do another show today, so stay tuned. Have a fantastic day.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows. And until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.